Welcome back to the second half of NewsBreak Live. Joining me tonight is Executive Director from Family Promise of the South Bay, Nick Rasmussen. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Your organization is hosting the annual homeless count again this year at First Christian Church in Torrance, and volunteers are still needed. Tell me about this year's homeless count.
This year's homeless count is just about that, counting homeless across LA County wide. We specifically host here in the South Bay. We cover from Inglewood to San Pedro, the beach cities, Carson, Lomita, Wilmington. And really the goal is to get at least 500 people out city by city. We're hoping to get 50 here in Torrance.
Why is it done during the last 10 days of January? Tell me the partnerships involved.
So HUD, which is the Housing and Urban Development national organization that funds every homeless organization and program in the United States, they mandate and dictate that the last 10 days of the month that everything nationwide has to be counted. We take 3 days, the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th of January in LA County to count, and every city actually in the South Bay has opted in, so that's 100% participation, which is pretty great.
And this will be part of a national count, the Torrance count.
Absolutely. So that last 10 days, we have 3 days out of those last 10 days.
What is the purpose of this count?
The count is really to document the homelessness nationwide, in the South Bay specifically, for us. And this allows, when the numbers come in, this allows HUD to take that information to Congress. Then Congress dictates where funding goes, what policies are made, and really where that money needs to be allocated, where the hugest area of need is.
And it's really great, 100% of Torrance will be canvassed, and this is between the South Bay Coalition to End Homelessness and the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, which you just mentioned. Tell me about that partnership and exactly what is going to happen.
Well, what's great about that is LASA has worked really hard to get every city in the South Bay opted in. The South Bay Coalition to End Homelessness is really our coalition. Every service provider in the South Bay is part of this coalition, and we are working together, partnering with each other to make sure that we have an as accurate count as we possibly can have. So if you look at even just Torrance, there's 650 miles that will be, road miles that will be covered, and 4,400 miles on foot too. So it's a lot of area to cover, just this area in itself.
And you mentioned road miles. Can you explain what that means? Because I know the city is 20 square miles.
Yeah.
So for people that are not familiar with that term.
Yeah. It means exactly that. If you were to go from street to street, road to road, that's the area from one end to another. If you were to have a linear look at that, it'd be from start to finish, it'd be over 650 miles.
And volunteers are on foot.
They're on foot.
Tell me about that.
So when they come to the site, they get trained. That usually takes about an hour, and then we break people up into groups. We give them clipboards with designated areas, and they go out in their cars or on foot, and they will actually count who they see who are visibly homeless. And that's a cumbersome task, but it's also as accurate as we can get.
I know you mentioned to me you don't know how many volunteers have signed up. Torrance needs about 50. How important is it to get the volunteers to come out and be part of this event?
I think this is about community involvement. I think it's about investment. I think it's about awareness. Last year we did have, we believe we had over 50, and it's just people stepping outside of themselves and understanding there's a greater need here, and that we are directly responsible and I believe accountable to this community, and you can be a part of the solution if you just take a little extra step. And I believe people that have been involved and understand that, and my hope is that that message gets out there and this word is spread.
You're the Executive Director of Family of the Promise of the South Bay. You see homelessness firsthand, especially with families. How is your organization involved? How important is this for Family Promise of the South Bay?
I think it starts with awareness. I think just having the understanding that this exists. And our neck of the woods is a little different than most. We don't serve chronically homeless. We don't serve people that have been on the streets, that have pervasive mental illness or addictions. We serve newly homeless families. These are families that simply have fallen on hard times, that really need a hand up, that need some assistance. We get them back into work. We get them back into housing, and really stable housing. You know, in the South Bay, it's very expensive here, and I don't think there's anything such as affordable housing. So we say stable and sustainable housing. And we want to make sure that they have a realistic view of what their potential is, and then we can equip them.
What does Family Promise of the South Bay provide?
So we provide an array of services. We have a interfaith network of 30 congregations. We're 99.9% volunteer driven. And so we have almost 800, between 750 and 800 volunteers just in our network in the South Bay. So that to me is a testament of people's investment and people's hearts towards really helping families out. And there's kids involved in this, and there's families that just need some help, and that's really what we provide.
And the organization hosts Cardbox City, which I know our crew here is very familiar with. We cover it every year.
Sure.
And that's an opportunity to fundraise and also give the community a chance to experience homelessness in a way, right?
I think that's accurate. The big piece for us is community engagement. It's community involvement. It's community awareness. We want to make sure that every age group has a chance to be a part of this. So we have young kids, we have elders, we have couples, we have single families, we have all different sorts of configurations that come to serve. We have youth groups, and I think for us it's just about getting everybody involved. And really, there's power in numbers. You know, they say, many hands make the work light, and that's really what we try to do. And I think with Cardbox City, it's a fun event, but it's also, it gets real for a night. You're sleeping in a cardboard box shelter for the night, and that's life-changing for some people, and that they just don't realize what that means night after night after night, and I think that's powerful and impactful.
And back to the homeless count, 2017 will be the 4th time Family Promise has hosted this event. Yes. So for people that may be interested, how does it work? I know the event's January 25th, 8 p.m. Yes. It will take about 3 hours long to canvass the city of Torrance.
Yes, so we have hosted for 4 years. First Christian Church is the partner, and actually that's where our day center is as well. So that's really our home base. And that's been really neat to see people's consistency and year after year coming back to be a part of that. And so for us, it's just really important that people, they can get on our website, Family Promise of the South Bay. They can get on the South Bay Coalition to End Homelessness or LOS's website. And the website for them is actually theycountwillyou.org.
And I want to talk a little bit about, last year's homeless count and how the count increased by 22% and what type of homeless population is right here in our city. If you can kind of talk about that.
Sure. So we see the whole spectrum. So we have the chronically homeless, which I touched on before. We have individuals with mental illness, with pervasive mental health issues, with addictions, a lot of veterans, single adults, and then families. And then we have families that are chronically homeless, and then families that are newly homeless. So it's not, there's many conversations in this. And I think it's really important to understand the similarities, but also understand the differences, because every demographic, every population within the homeless population has different needs, and they require a different approach to service.
And vehicular homelessness was a large reason for the increase.
Absolutely.
Can you explain what that means, and also someone who's considered unsheltered homeless?
So let's start with the unsheltered piece. Most homelessness, most people that are homeless, experiencing homelessness, are unsheltered across the board. So that's almost a given. Now with vehicular homelessness, that's people living in their cars, and they're often transient, but they usually pick a certain place to stay where they feel safe, because this is all about safety. This is all about trust of the area they're in, trust of the law enforcement even, that they're going to allow them to have a safe space. So this is really about people having a place to belong, and also having an understanding that although they are homeless, they are going to be in a spot that allows them to continue to be a part of the community.
And for the count this year, it's happening across the country, but why is Los Angeles County so significant? I know the count here is different. There's so many cities involved.
Right.
It's very sophisticated.
Very sophisticated. So Los Angeles County is an enormous geographic area, first of all, larger than any county. And then we have the highest number of homelessness, the highest percentage of homelessness in the United States because of that. But also there's a lot of need and service. And over the years there's been a lack of service. And I think now with that awareness piece, the numbers are increasing a little bit, but it's a matter of people being on their radar now. And so when individuals and community members find out about this, they truly do want to do something about it, and they just try to wrap their heads around it and figure out how they can make an impact.
And I know you mentioned to me affordable housing and vacancy is hard to come by for many families that you and your organization work with.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the South Bay, the vacancy rate hovers about, between 1 and 1.5%. So anything $2,000 and less, it's gone really the day that it's posted. Our families just simply can't afford that most of the time, and so we have to figure out very creative ways to be able to house them. And this is not just for homeless families, but it's families in general. It's very, very difficult, and especially if you're making minimum wage, especially if you're the working poor, it's really a difficult situation.
We were just talking about the count and how volunteers will be on foot, but there is a demographic study that is part of it, that the study will eventually go to USC.
Correct.
What are some of the details about that? It's not just volunteers going on foot. There's much more to it. There's actually going to be interviews done by some Los Angeles County officials.
So the count is just the first piece of it. The count gives you the launching pad and the starting point, starts the conversation. And then what they do with that information is they will go and they'll start interviewing people. And the number is typically between 5,000 and 6,000 interviews. That information goes to USC, and they have their teams that figure out how to interpret that data, but then also what to do with that. And then that goes back to HUD, and then they, again, base policy and funding solely upon that. So it's a complicated process, and there's a lot riding on this.
Mayor Fury and his wife are participating this year. They did last year,
Yes, they did.
and I know Torrance Police Department plays a crucial role in making sure this count happens. Tell me about TPD getting involved. What exactly happens?
Well, their community engagement team is really a part of this, and it's been a pleasure and an honor for me to see not only those relationships that have been built, but also just their investment. It is not common, and the TPD has been progressive in that way. They really look to pulling community together and being a part of it. I mean, we had their team that came last year to the count, and they literally took the clipboards and went out and was part of the count. So I commend them, and I really appreciate their work. And you talked about Mayor Fury and his wife. He is so involved in everything we do, and he's been a huge supporter, not just of ours, but really other providers too. But they understand the need, and when a mayor is coming and being a part of the count, that's a testament again to what's going on in this area.
And volunteers are still needed. I know I want to put an emphasis on
Keep plugging
that.
it, yeah.
How can people sign up?
Okay.
Where should they go?
So again, theycountwillyou.org is really where they need to go. LAHSA, which is Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, their website, you can just sign up. You type in which area you'd like to serve in, and there you go, you show up.
And anyone who's 18 years of age or
Correct.
older can participate?
Yep, that's correct. And so there's need in all the cities. So the beach cities, Torrance, every city has its own, El Segundo, every city has its own count. But we're based here in Torrance, and we still need people, I know.
And tell me how people can get involved with Family Promise of the South Bay.
So Family Promise is a very unique approach to addressing homelessness. Our power is in our congregations, our power is in the volunteers, so they can come straight to our website, familypromiseosb.org. They can call me directly, and really we want to make sure that if there's any desire, there's gifts that people have that they can invest in our organization. We say time, talent, and treasure. If you have any of those things that you can do to help us out and you have a heart for the homeless, then we can definitely put you to work.
I know we talked about so much tonight, but is there anything else you'd like to tell viewers about the homeless count and how they can get involved?
I just think it starts with really understanding that there's a need. Understanding that each one of us can do something about this. And even if it's just a little bit of time, that time is worthy and valuable, and you can absolutely make a difference. And I think for us, again, theycountwillyou.org, check it out, and I think it'll be worth it.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
And I hope January 25th will work out. There'll be volunteers, training, everything will happen right there at the church site.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to mention that if you have any other questions or anything, you can always go to theycountwillyou.org. The count will happen Wednesday, January 25th at 8 p.m. And you can always contact Family Promise of the South Bay at 310-782-8196. You can also go to their website at familypromiseosb.org. Well, that does it for NewsBreak Live. City Council does have the night off, and if you ever have news or video that you'd like to share, please email us at newsbreak@torranceca.gov. And for Facebook and Twitter users, use #NewsBreakLive. We'll see you next time. Have a great night.